Happy Documented Faith Friday. You're not going to see my face today because I am still sick and constantly wiping my nose. So I thought I would save you that and just show you some things that I'm working on this week in my binder. And so I'm just going to get started with, there is a new downloadable PDF printable in my Etsy shop. It is dedicated to the Daily 5. So when you get, it's $5, and when you get this sheet, you can download it to your computer and you can print it out for the next 365 days if you wish. I'm going to do one of these daily just to kind of track it, and I'm going to show you how I use it in my binder, and you can use it in your planner. You can use it however you want. And then it has these little pieces of art. I printed it off on regular paper, and then I also printed it off on cardstock, and I cut these out so that I can use these either in my Bible journaling or in my planner, and they are heavy duty cardstock, so they're not gonna bend around too much. So that's kind of fun. I'm going to show you how I use that this week in my on my pages. So I did it right here, and when you get the printout, it comes like this, and you can very easily just take your trimmer and you can trim it to whatever size you want. If you want a little extra, you can do that. I did leave a little extra so that I could put washi tape on the edge of it, because then it just reinforces it and helps it to be a little more sturdy. And because today is Thursday and I only started this, no, today's Friday. I started this yesterday. I only have one, but for next week, I'm going to print out 5. And then what I may do is do this sheet and then do another sheet. Yeah, that's probably what I do. So for $5, you'll get the 2 sheets, and one sheet will be this, and then one will be with just the Daily 5. So you don't have to print out 300 of these. Not that you're going to print out 300, but you know what I mean. So anyway, this just helps me. I'm a list maker. I have a lot of things going on in my head, and if I don't get them down on paper, then I get overwhelmed very quickly, more quickly than I choose to even admit. So at least if I get these 5 things done, and it doesn't have to be in any specific order, then I just stay accountable to this. And I've learned this along the years, even with like Weight Watchers, just going in and marking or making marks or making check marks. It just helps you stay accountable to what you're doing. So that's why I decided to do this. And then you just pop holes in it. So I didn't draw out the holes on the printable because I thought, well, if you use it another way, then who wants those little marks on there? So just a normal hole puncher, line it up with your pages and punch your holes. So that's kind of fun. That's new. It's week 17 for Documented Faith, and this is the verse here. It comes from Isaiah 64:8. Depending on the translation, it will either say, "Yet you, Lord," or "O Lord." But it says, I wrote it out here, "O Lord, you are our Father. We are the clay. You are the potter. We are the work of your hand." And then I wrote #handmade. And so I wrote that out right on my page, and did some gray watercolor around it and just some basic shadowing. I have a download for you this week that is with the week 17 printable, and it's very basic, so that you can either color it in, you could make a frame around it, you can cut it apart, you can add shadows, you can add color into the words. I just left it very basic so that you have kind of permission to just go crazy. And I would love to see how you take this and turn it into something else. So this will be in this week's message. And then if you noticed, I have these little page protectors here. These are just Avery page protectors, the small ones. I got them at Staples in, I think they come in like a set of 15, but it has a whole bunch of holes in it already punched, whatever, so that it fits all kinds of things. So whether it's this binder or a different binder or a planner or whatever, then you can put them in and add them to your week. So I'm going to do that. I may add some washi tape. I don't know. You can do it on the outside. And I have a few throughout the binder that I'm going to show you in a second. So this week I just did some blah, blah, blah. Created to create, do the work. And this was last week. I still haven't added much color in, but I may do that. I'm just working on so many things right now that I just wanted to stay focused on this, and showing you what I did here. Another thing I did this week, because I was working on a project for my friend Brandy, I made some, this is my word for the year. Here it is, another one of these page protectors. This is a watercolored heart that I did with my word for the year practice, and I matted it. I sent some to her for a soul care retreat that she's doing, and I sort of love it. It's just a freehand watercolor heart. I did them all red, and then I just applied my word to it. And I thought I would offer it to my Documented Faith group. It's a 5x7 watercolor heart, your word, and it's matted and suitable for framing, or quite honestly, I'm just going to keep it in here as my focus and reminder. So if you would like to order one of these, I'm going to put a link up in the Etsy shop so you can check that out. And you would need to let me know what color heart and what your word is. And I can only do a certain amount of these at a time. I don't want to get so backlogged. So I'm going to start out with probably only about 10 a week so that I can stay up to, you know, the handmade. So it takes me a little bit. So anyway, I have that. And then I wanted to show you what I was doing. So these are the blank pages in the binder. And I wanted to tell you, and here's where I wrote it down. Create to be created, do the work. I had God speak to me, not in the thunderous voice, but just a very clear, do the whole class. Yesterday, well, not yesterday, this past month, I've been working on so many different things that I didn't get to the April Art and Faith Collide workshop. And I know so many of you were anxious to get that. And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to do a mini class and do a few projects and post that. So I will show you that here is the stamp that I carved for that class. And once I stamped it, or once I carved it, I really got into the groove and I stamped it. And then I stamped it on some of this moleskin paper that I already had painted. And then I thought, well, I stamped it on here. They're probably going to want to know how to do this. So I ended up doing a video on how to make a page. And here is my sample page, and it's just on moleskin paper. And so this is part of the class. And again, this isn't another one of these page protectors. This is not my color scheme at all. So I may end up doing it again in my own colors, but I wanted it to kind of reflect what I was doing here. And I think probably if I would have put this kind of apple green in, it would have brightened it up a little. I think it was too blah, so maybe I'll just do that. Anyway, once I got going with the stamp and then the page and then all of the mark making, that's when I heard do the whole class. So I have a stitching project, and then I have the art journal and the 52 pickup card, and this class for April will launch on Monday. So Monday that will be available for instant download. But I just kept putting it off and putting it off because I was working on so many other things, and I just got to the point where it's like, no, I'm tired of thinking about it. I want to do it too. So I just went for it. So that will be available on Monday. And then one last thing I wanted to share with you, if I can find it. It's here in my pile somewhere. I started making notes about all of this. So this is that printout that I had attached to maybe week 14, maybe 15 of the page, binder page. And I wrote out documented faith. And I wrote in the margin, the creative way to share my faith. And then I wrote out, this is why I document my faith. And I wrote out, I need to be able to look back and see how God is working in my life. And then I wrote out, write it down. And I wrote in the margin, when something dawns on me, I need to write it down because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to forget it. And then the last part says something I forgot to remember, and that is because if I don't write it down, then I will forget it. And all of these things always come because of a need that I have. I do all of my quiet time and then all of my creative work in the morning, and I've had good sleep, and I'm ready to go, and I have my coffee, and it's quiet, and I'm working, and I'm really productive and getting my things done. And then about 2 o'clock is when I hit a wall, and I usually take a nap or I take a break. And then it's kind of, this is because I'm working from home. I run into this, okay, it's time to clean up. John's going to be home. He usually gets home around 3:30 or 4. I start getting dinner done. Laundry's being done. I start getting more tired, and then I start thinking. And when I start thinking, I start overthinking. And then I start questioning myself. And all of the negative self-talk comes into play. And I said it in the video, and you'll hear me say it, that I need to not think when I'm tired, because, and I even said, I think I need to not sleep when I'm tired. And I meant to say, I need to not think when I'm tired, because when I start thinking, I start overthinking, or I turn something into something else. And that's not fair to myself or to anyone else. So this is my reminder. And when I say something, or I share something online, or I say, just a reminder of something that you might have already known, you just forgot to remember, that's because I'm either going through that or I've been there. So I wrote it out. I'm going to put it in my binder so that when I start having those thoughts, because I'm tired and I'm thinking, what am I doing? Should I have done this? Should I have done that? Should I do it over? I can go right back to this and remember my purpose. Not that I don't know it, but sometimes you just need a reminder. So that's where this came into play. So I want to encourage you to print one of the blank pages out, cut it out, pop some holes in it, and maybe you don't have to do it this way, but maybe just write down some whys, why you're doing this, just as reminders, so that when you have those weak moments, then you can look back and be reminded. So that's it for today. I'm headed back into the house. I'm out in my Chateau studio right now, but I'm headed back in because my sister's here and we are creating some things. So anyway, check out the Etsy shop for the $5 PDF printable of the, let me get this out of the way, of the Daily 5 with the little pieces that you can cut out and use in your crafting. What else was there? Oh, then you can print this out, and I want to see how creative and crazy you can get with this for this week's printable on the message verse. And then Monday released will be the Art and Faith Collide. And thank you again for all of you who have been ordering binders. There's another shipment going out today. One of the questions was, am I only going to work in this now that I have this in the Art and Faith Collides? And no, I'm going to continue working in my art journal, but I'll go back and forth, and I'm going to do things here and I'm going to do things there. And so you can work in whatever you have. I have 50,000 different journals that I'm working on, and so always just use what you have. And then lastly, again, if you're interested in ordering they're one of one because they're all handmade, watercolor heart with the word, that will also be listed in the Etsy shop. So have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.